Most people think walking only works if you eat super clean, and then only if you're hitting 10,000 steps a day. So if you're busy, tired, or off track, it just feels like walking doesn't actually count. But that belief is dead wrong. See, walking works even when life is chaotic. Even when your meals aren't perfect, you get 5 or 10 minutes a day and it really starts to stack up. This will lead to thousands of extra calories burned per week. This is the main method I have used to help hundreds of people lose fat. So in this video, I'm gonna explain why this is so potent for your fat loss, and then the 3 stages, depending on where you're at in terms of body fat percentage, on how you can use walking to scorch body fat, because it does kind of change as you get closer to your goal. So really quick, I'm gonna explain, like using an example of 2 people, why this is so important that you are actually walking. So imagine 2 people, they're the exact same body weight, whatever weight that is. I've had lots of clients like what I'm about to describe. One of them, regardless of how much they're eating, they move very, very little. So in order to lose weight, they have to eat very little. So they probably have to cut to somewhere, if they're a guy, around 1,600 calories, and if they're a girl, around 1,200 calories. Someone with high steps and decent muscle mass is gonna eat somewhere around 2,400 calories. And it depends on the gender and their activity and everything, but they're gonna eat a whole lot more, making this much more sustainable. So the thing here is that this increases calorie buffer, like how much room you have in your diet, and decreases the chance of metabolic adaptation, which is an absolute killer long-term on a fat loss plan. You probably have experienced it before where you've lost weight and then something just stopped and it feels like now you have to eat even less and less and less, and that only lasts so long. So I also want to show you why hunger is superior, in my opinion, to HIIT training for fat loss. So this is going to be high intensity interval training, and this is going to be walking or low intensity steady state. Think of these as 2 gauges, like in a car. Over on the right is going to be hunger, on the left is going to be energy. Same thing over here. Hunger and energy. Walking is going to keep your energy high and your hunger low. So they're going to be in the places that you want them, because you obviously don't want to be more hungry and have low energy. So walking is perfect for that. Whereas HIIT, on the other hand, is going to drive your hunger high, and it's going to sap your energy and drive that really low. So you're going to be low on energy, facing more cravings, and you're going to be more hungry. So no wonder you fall off on your diet. So let's talk about the 3 stages of fat loss and how you can apply walking to whatever stage that you are in. Most of my audience is going to be starting at the 30 to 40% body fat range. And so this is our starting point. Think of fat loss like building a fire. At first, you just like kindling, and that's walking. Then you add logs, that's lifting. We're gonna talk about that in a second. And finally, you fan the flames, make the fire nice and big. That's gonna be your cardio and your diet. Now, those aren't the 3 stages. That's just to set the stage for these 3 stages. So let's talk about the kindling stage. That's 40 to 30% body fat. So going from 40 down to 30, and even like 30 down to maybe like 25. This is like lighting your first campfire. Low effort and easy to keep going. Your only job here is to keep the spark alive. Your focus in this step when it comes to walking, ironically, is steps. So focus on steps only. Your goal is to build a habit of moving every single day and reaching your step goal. Whatever your step goal is, just pick something and go for it. If you find that you're always undershooting it, then lower that. You don't want to be missing it every single day. But if you find that you're always going over, then make it something that's a little bit of a challenge, something you have to reach for every day. And eventually, I promise you, it's going to be easier to reach that, and you're going to have to increase your goal. And that's whenever this really starts stacking up in your win column. The win for you here, I know I said the goal was to keep the spark alive. So what does a win look like? It's routine, it's consistency, and it's low friction. It's you enjoying the process of getting moving a little bit more. Once you've built that walking habit, it's time to stack the next piece. And that's without overwhelming yourself. So that's gonna be the next stage. So this is 30 to 20% body fat, somewhere in there, getting down to 20% body fat. And I'm gonna call this the burger stage. Think of this like running a busy burger joint. You've got orders coming in, customers to please, and the grill is always hot. It's always on, it's always cooking burgers. You can't just wing it anymore. If you're running a burger joint, you gotta have systems. You gotta have something in place that makes sense. So lifting is like your kitchen crew. Walking is like your servers. Both have to work together or things fall apart. I'm sure you've had an experience at a restaurant where they're blaming the chefs, or the chefs are blaming the servers, and they gotta be working together. So this is steps plus resistance training. Please don't ignore this. I know you're here for the walking side of the video, but walking still is the heart of this video. But we can't just walk to getting to your goal. You got to add in some resistance training for long-term success. So your goal here is to actually shift body composition. A big win for you here would be to lose body fat without losing muscle. A lot of people that I have talked to throughout the years, a lot of clients, they come to me with the general goal, I just want to lose weight at any cost. It doesn't really matter. And they don't realize that until they reach that skinny fat level and then end up gaining it all back, that they missed this piece. I try to explain it to them, but they just think they just want the weight gone. And so I totally sympathize with that. At any cost, I just want to lose weight. If I'm losing 4 pounds a week, that's all I really care about. But I promise you don't care about that forever. You might not even realize that you used to care about that because you lost the weight, but then did you gain it back? If you gained it back, it's probably because you lost muscle along the way. If you want to learn like what your lifting should be, I actually have a free AI fat loss coach. I'll show like a screen recording of it here. It might not be in regards to actual lifting, but it will ask you based off of your needs, your equipment, your goals, your injuries, everything. It will make you a custom program. It's really cool. Now, it might not be perfect like what a trainer would write, but it's gonna get you 90% of the way there. It's really all you're gonna need at first when it comes to actually doing the program and getting a program that is well balanced. So if you want that, the link is in the description below in the pinned comment as well. Now at this point, you're leaner, you're stronger, and you're ready for the phase that most people skip, which is why they usually gain it all back and end up failing. So I'm gonna call this the champagne stage. One, because I'm gonna use that as an analogy, but two, because it's celebration. You have reached a leanness that you never thought possible. So this stage is like holding a champagne bottle that you have been shaking. I know I'm gonna regret trying to draw this because like it resembles something, but imagine that you are shaking up a champagne bottle. The pressure is going to be higher and higher and higher and higher until eventually if you slip up, everything ends up exploding. Your win here is going to be controlling this and keeping this steady so that the pressure, even though it's built up, you don't end up slipping up and everything holds for whenever you're ready to actually pop the cork. So I'm gonna talk you through the details of every step of your plan. This is the last stage. This is where if you get this entire plan, you're gonna make it this time. I bet a piece of this was missing from your plan last time if you failed. So we already talked about this a little bit, but you want your steps to be something that you're tracking. So let's say that you're hitting 6,000 steps a day, and that's something you can do pretty consistently. You want to try and bump that up to like 7,000. Fill in your numbers wherever you're at. If you were at 10,000 steps a day, try to get it to like 11,000, 12,000, something like that. Challenge yourself and push yourself that extra level. Then you have your resistance training. I already told you about Fit Buddy. That will get you your plan. But you need to be making sure to do that plan 2 to 3 times per week. If you have an advanced split, you might work out like 6 times a week. That's push-pull legs or something like that. It doesn't matter. Just make sure to be hitting each muscle group at least 2 times a week. And just so you're aware, that could be 2 total body workouts per week. So it's not like you have to live in the gym. Then is your cardio. This needs to be targeted and not excessive. So pick something like, I don't know, 3 times per week at 30 minutes, and then slowly be improving that cardio. So if you walk at 3% incline on the treadmill or fill in the blank, you know, whether it's like 60 RPMs on the bike or whatever it is, you slowly want to improve that so that you're working harder because now you're capable of working harder. Now at this stage, now this is all happening simultaneously. At this stage, the diet has got to become a priority. So we're gonna be focusing on protein and getting 1 gram per pound of body weight. We're gonna be focusing on keeping our calories stable. And so for most people, this is gonna be somewhere around a 2,000 calorie diet. For women, it might be closer to 1,500 calories, somewhere around there. You wanna make sure to be eating enough to fuel your workouts, but obviously if the scale isn't moving, you either gotta eat less or move more. And then this is the piece that a lot of people miss. Now I have other videos going deeper into the calories, so look into some of my nutrition videos. If that's something that you want a little bit more information on, but you could take your body weight times 10. That's a pretty good place to start. So if you're 200 pounds and you want to start losing weight, times 10 would be roughly 2,000 calories. So that's a good place to start just to give you an idea on that. But this part is overlooked. This is going to be your sleep. And I know you're like, dude, lame, but this is so important. I literally was talking to a client today about getting, let me turn you to me, about like, hey, your graph isn't making much sense to me. Like, what am I missing? What is it on your graph that you know, is happening? And they said, you know, I've been sleeping like crap because they were doing all the right things. You know, everything that they were doing before is the same thing they're doing now. The big difference is what they told me is that they've been sleeping really, really badly. And so I bet they're slipping up a little bit on their diet more than they're admitting to or more than they realize. And they probably aren't processing body fat in the same way. Now, don't get me wrong. It's not like a magical effect that if you don't get enough sleep, you're gonna magically hold on to body fat if you're not getting enough calories. But it is something that your decisions will be a little worse in terms of like your food. You might miss a workout here or there that you wouldn't otherwise miss. And your workouts won't be very effective. You might be walking a little bit slower, lifting a little bit less. And so all of this stuff just stacks up so that you cannot actually achieve your goal. Now, I don't claim to be a massive sleep expert, but I don't want to completely leave you with like nothing to go on here. So obviously, Work on your caffeine intake. A lot of people tell me caffeine doesn't affect me. Yes, it does. No matter what you think, it does. Even if you can sleep right after drinking a cup of coffee, your quality of sleep is going to go down. So work on your caffeine. Try to cut it off by 12 noon. Like, really give this some effort. If this is something that's serious to you, sleep has got to be top of your list. Now, you can apply what we just talked about in earlier stages. If you're at those earlier stages, you can just skip to this plan right here. But I'm telling you, building up into it is really, really helpful. But also a really dark room, making sure that there's either white noise or complete silence based off what you like. Give them both a try, and then go from there. See how you do. Maybe take some melatonin. By the way, more melatonin does not mean better sleep. In fact, taking more melatonin, it could mean worse sleep. So just take, the standard 5 or 10. I mean, 10's a little bit high, but for some people, for me, that's what I take is 10. I don't take every night, only nights that I need. But anyways, the point is, work at this sleep thing. Alex Hormozi has a great sleep video. It's where I learned a lot of the stuff to get my sleep right. So just type in Alex Hormozi sleep, and I'm sure it'll come up. Now, if you have tried everything in the past and nothing has worked for you, it's probably only because, and I want to encourage you in this, you quit. If you didn't quit, I bet your plan, no matter how bad it was, we do need a certain effectiveness to a plan, but no matter how bad it was, I bet that plan was something that would have led to you getting results. So don't quit. That's why I made this video right here. Go ahead and watch that next.